so people would have something to come to in town on a
and
Friday
that,
night.
I forget what year that was, but it was before we went to town, I know. And what else was there that went on there?
Did snowmobiling start about then too? Does that come in? Or?
Yeah, snowmobiling got more popular, I think, around 65.
Mm-hmm.
Chet was getting snowmobiles at the hardware store. Chet Dumask about, he probably had one in 63 or 4, and I might have that wrong too. But anyway, he was our fearless leader. He took us everywhere. You know, we had a club, and Arlie and Chet named the club the Snow Bunnies.
Oh, it's been that long,
It's
huh?
been that long ago, yeah. And then we would meet all the time and discuss where we would go. And Sunday afternoon was like family day. Everybody took their machines and their kids, and we went on a trail. We usually start out up behind Sportsman, go all through those woods up there, you know, and come down. And we went to an island, and I don't have any idea.
Snow Bunny's Island, they call it.
That was the name of it?
Yeah, Snow Bunny Island.
On that lake in the, it's surrounded by state land, just off of
Off
Oxbow
of
Lake.
Crab Lake Road.
Crab
Yeah,
Lake
it's
Road.
right off of there. And you could drive back there if I remember right, but it was easier to go on snowmobile and you landed right there, you know. And there was this little lake, and the kids would play around, you know. All the kids came. We invited Mantuish Waters, and I don't know what other clubs we had invited, but they'd come over, and we'd all have just a gay old time, you know.
Cookouts, you had
We had
fires
dinner.
out there.
That was like our Sunday evening meal or whatever,
But-
maybe afternoon.
What, cook over a fire? Or?
Oh, we had a stove. We had an apartment-sized stove over there with a
Over
tank
there?
of gas on the island, on the Snow Bunny Island.
Wow.
And whoever had gotten the stove and put it out there with a tank of gas. And for the privy, we had, there were 3 trees that were growing like a triangle, so they just would hang tarps all around the
Oh,
trees.
wow, I
So
didn't
we
know
just,
that.
oh yeah, we had the comforts of home over
the
there.
DNR didn't know about that.
But anyway, that was.
And so then you'd cook a supper on that stove?
On the stove. We'd boil
Outside.
hot dogs.
What a
Or,
riot.
you know, barbecues. There was barbecue and hot dogs, if I remember, mostly all that stuff. I don't think we did too many hamburgers, but maybe we did.
So what family, I mean, you mentioned Larry Toma.
Yeah.
What and the Dumasks, what families were
Were
active in town then?
Oh my gosh, there were quite a few of us. John and Nancy Olson and the girls would be with us. And let's see, who else would come? We did have quite a few. We'd meet over at Dumask's, and they had the hardware store at that time, which is where
Thomas had the gas station. Was it a gas station at that time? Larry? Toma?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
a
yeah,
gas station.
it was then.
Mhm.
But when we first moved here, it was not Larry Toma.
Ah.
Yeah. When we first moved here, it was
Barda, was it?
Barda,
Frank Barda?
John, or Frank, that's
Frank
right, it was
Barda.
Frank Barda. And when we first moved here, we did not have a phone, and we had to pay Frank. If he took a message for us, he'd come out and then he wanted $1 for a message, you know. So
So he'd take a message in town and then drive out here and tell you.
Yeah, and we're trying to run the resort with you know, that system.
And that was how you were making your reservations and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right. We didn't have a telephone at that time.
You
We
did
didn't-
have electricity though, did you?
We had electricity, yeah.
Because
we
someone
did
was
have
telling me about when electricity first came on the other side of the lake.
That's right, and
Sure.
that had come
Sure.
just shortly before we bought. They had gotten it. And then when the Olsons bought, and Sweeney, and Honor, no, not Honor, they're not here. Not Mager either. There's another guy over there. Some of them used to stay with at Cedar Bay before we came, and they bought property, and then they were able to get electric in.
They're all on the north end of
Right,
Oxbow Lake.
and then the other people got electric from beyond John Olson. I think it was at I forget where that came in at, but anyway, that's how we operated until they finally came through with phones.
And do you remember how much longer that would have been, roughly?
I think we did all that at least 2 years.
Into the later 70s.
And then
Or later 60s. Later
the
60s.
phones took a little while, but the phone started out with a 6-party, and then I think it was 6-party, and then it was maybe a 4-party, and then it broke down to 2-party, you know, and then we finally were able to get individual phones, and that went on for a while, and then Pam Eschenbach, her mother and dad used to own the campground, the Presque Isle campground.
That's state line campground.
And what was their name?
Eschenbach.
But what was her name?
Oh yeah, Wendt.
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 Yeah, that was her
Esther.
parents.
Was that
Ralph?
Esther?
No, not Ralph. What was her father's name?
I just remember an Esther Eschenbach. No, maybe
No.
that was her. That was her.
No,
We could
I
ask.
can't think of her mother and dad's name now.
That's
but
the
anyway.
campground that's now state line campground.
Well, and that was the one I was saying that we used
Harrison
to,
owned.
that we, a woman who just celebrated her 100th birthday, they used to come and camp at that
Oh, is that right?
because they were related to John's in-laws.
Oh,
And so
I
we
see.
met them over at that campground. That was before I knew where anything else in Presque Isle was. I
Oh,
had no
sure.
idea where I was.
Yeah, that's right.
So how long
Yeah.
did you own the resort? How many years?
Well, I think it was 16, 17, something like that.
Wow.
And then when we decided to sell, one of the Joan Logan, wasn't it? That
It was Joan
mentioned
Logan.
to you that you
Yes, that was
that
just-
she had heard of.
You didn't even advertise, did you?
No, we hadn't even gotten
Right.
that involved.
That was in 1978. The 77. You're
Yeah,
right.
1977,
The
yeah.
fall of 77.
And then we moved out of here in I think it was
Spring
March.
of 78.
Yeah, we had to wait until the load limits, I think, got off of the roads or something to that effect before we could move lock, stock, and barrel out
Okay.
of there, you know. And in the meantime, we had purchased the Lure, which
Okay.
was like a bait shop,
Okay.
clothing store.
Okay, before we go on to that, may I ask one more question? This is kind of a personal question, but could you support a family of 4 kids on what you made in a resort those years?
No way. That's why he went back.
But
and
your
worked.
husband worked down
Sure.
south.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was very difficult to make a living up here at that time. You know,
Okay.
there were so many that bought resorts where the husbands went back and worked wherever, got jobs driving school buses, got jobs somewhere else. A lot of the women did the same thing, you know. But I didn't. I just took care of the resort.
You couldn't make a living on that resort.
On just a resort at that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
No, because at that time you'd rent a cabin for $15 a night. Now, where are you going to rent a cabin for $15 a night?
Yeah, even
And
in
a
the
week
60s
when-
and 70s, that wasn't any
No,
money.
and then for a week, the cabins were like $38 or something
Oh,
like
my.
that. You know, $40. So I
And
mean,
you were only open from what, May to October? maybe
May
September?
until the
Beginning of
after
October.
Labor Day,
Okay.
and I think Sanish's may have closed then. We kind of stayed open and kept things moving a little
You
bit
did
more.
in the later years, though, when snowmobiling came in
Yeah.
and there was winter business. You started to winterize some of the
Yeah,
cabins.
that's right. Yeah,
And
we
you built
started to
you
do
built
that.
some new ones too.
I
you had
think,
the
what did
Eagle's
we do?
Nest.
The Eagle's Nest. That came about because there was a fire right around the lake, and a couple named Joe and Mary DeRay owned the property and the home, and they had a fire in it. And they wanted to do something different because it looked like too much work to fix it. And my husband went over with a couple of our boys and looked it over, and he said, it's real solid. He said, we'll check out how much to move it and we'll buy it. And we had already built a foundation. So then I forget what we did with that foundation, to tell you the truth. We put it on the foundation, though, part of the foundation. And then the other part, I think we planted some flowers around it or something. But anyway, we did move it, and I think we added a bedroom and a bathroom onto it once we got it. We added one side, we added more of something to it. And an extra porch across the front.
Okay.
And that worked out fine. You know, that
Okay.
was a nice cabin. It was 3 bedrooms and
So
2
that was when you had
bathrooms.
the business in town.
No, that was at the resort.
At
out
the
there.
resort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was when we were doing that at the
Okay.
resort.
So then if we go back to where you started, when you bought the lure in
Yeah.
town, that was, why don't you describe,
Well, they
you
had-
started to say what kind of a business that was. and I
Well, they
interrupted
had a
you.
bait business,
Okay.
and before the bait business, in that section of the store, they used to have a little coffee shop. Next to that, you'd walk right into an opening, and it would be clothing, and then there'd be gifts beyond that. And then there was a stairway that went downstairs where there was a full basement with an apartment in it downstairs. So.
And where was that located in, where would that
right
be
where
in
the
town now?
outpost is.
Okay.
Right where the outpost is. And that was a large building. I think it was 70 feet long or something like that.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
probably even more than that.
Yeah,
that.
it was really long.
Yeah, looked like a
And-
little Presque Isle's little strip mall.
Yeah, it was a little strip mall, first strip mall.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, then we rearranged the inside and made it back into a cafe at one end and another little shop in the middle. And then I kept an end that had the stairwell and had a gift shop. It was a gift shop. And we did that for a couple of years.
So you ran the
And-
whole area then, you and your husband did?
No, we had two, that's what I'm getting at. There were two people interested in the first cafe area and the middle area. And Jay Gascoigne and Eleanor Gascoigne
Oh, yeah, I forgot
purchased
about
the cafe. And they purchased all the interior utensils that they needed. And then they had that open every morning till about 2, I guess, or so. And
that. Pretty
then
much like the outpost is now.
yeah, and then the center shop was rented to Arlen Brazel. And Arlen had a men's clothing shop in there. And then I had
work clothes, like.
kind of work
Yeah.
clothes, sport clothes, yes, stuff like that. Work socks, and heavy shirts and that sort of thing. And so that went on, they did all of that for at least, I think Arlen was there 2 or 3 years, and I think the cafe went 2 or 3 years. And then they wanted to sell, and in the meantime, I decided to take over the middle shop also and make an art gallery. So that's what I did, and
What was
and-
its name? What did you call it?
the whole building was called the Mill Pond Shops.
Okay.
Yeah, Mill Pond
I'd
Shops.
forgotten that.
And then I think Eleanor called the little cafe area Ye Old Cafe or
Yeah,
something like
something
that,
like
I
that,
believe. And then my son bought it from her, my youngest son. He came out of the Navy as a cook, and he bought that from her, and he called it Food Mill, the Food Mill.
Yeah.
He bought
Yeah.
the cafe, so this would have been about 1980 then? Just
Yeah,
roughly?
pretty close, roughly
Okay.
79, 80, something like that.
And what was which son was this? What was this?
My youngest, Carl Brach.
Okay.
Yeah, he bought that. And then I took over the middle one. And then behind, there were bathrooms in the restaurant, and then you went through another door, and then there was another room where we put like another large table and 2 smaller tables so they could feed more people back there. So serve more people. And then I got all kinds of local artists bringing their things in, and then all of that was on consignment. And then once a month, I would try in the season or after the season. Maybe it was mostly during special holidays. I think I'd have somebody come in do a demo. And, like my son, the oldest one, he did leather tooling. He showed what he did. Dan Perotti came in and he did something. And who was the other one? I had a couple of other ones that came in, did something. And that was fun. And then we'd have